was supposed to be the saviour of Major League Soccer. When David Beckham signed for the LA Galaxy, ticket sales rose along with the level of merchandising. But while Americans' interest in Beckham increased, their interest in soccer did not. After a disappointing 18 months in the US, injured in his first season, ineffective in his second, Beckham left for Italy on a 3-month loan deal with AC Milan, and now he doesn't want to come back. So how damaging would that be to Major League Soccer? Well, here to help answer that question is CNN World Sport's Terry Baddoo. Terry, thank you very much for joining us
Good
today.
to be here.
All right, so can Major League Soccer survive without Beckham? He was, after all, supposed to sort of revive this.
It certainly can survive. Football is very much a team game. It has its stars, but it's not down to one individual. What I would say, though, is that it may have dented its image a bit, because basically what David is saying now is that after 2 years here, though he didn't actually play 2 seasons, the MLS is just not good enough for a player of his calibre. He wants to play for England still, which seemed to be out the window at one time, but now he's back in the reckoning with the England manager Fabio Capello. And in order to forward those ambitions with a view to playing in the 2010 World Cup, should England qualify, which of course I expect them to do, he has to be playing at the highest level, and Italy is basically streets ahead of the MLS.
We have to remember, of course, when, as you say, England was no longer very interested in him. He lost his captaincy. He came to the US, and essentially it was almost a precursor to retirement, it appeared.
Well, some people said that, but the fact is, when he came to the MLS, he had just won the title with Real Madrid and played a big part of it in Spain. Spain being, of course, one of the highest levels you can play at. So he didn't arrive here as any kind of crock, apart from the fact he was carrying a bit of an injury. The fact is that when he negotiated the deal to come to the US with the Galaxy, he was out of favour in Spain with Fabio Capello, who happened to be the manager there at Real Madrid at the time. He fought his way back. He was out of favour with England. Steve McLaren said his England career is over. Okay, so he was out of favour. So he came here as a guy who wants a new challenge, and he's always said it's about the football. And whereas the standard of football wasn't a challenge for him here, raising the profile certainly was. So he didn't come here as a bad player. So it's understandable if he found the level here a little bit below his standards, and he's got the chance now to go back and play at the top level. So why wouldn't you? His old manager, Sir Alex Ferguson of Manchester United, has said as much today. If he was in Beckham's shoes, he would go to Milan too. But
he came here as rather an ambassador for the sport. And let's face it, not only was it hoped that he would raise the profile of soccer in the US, but with kids, it was hoped that more kids would be interested in the game, and also that they would see him as a role model, as a positive influence. Well, it's not being a very good role model if you agreed to something and then you renege on it.
No, but he does have the David Beckham Academy, which is going on in Los Angeles, and he still will be a world-class player, so that's something for people to look up to. Look, the fact of the matter is, yes, he did come as a role model, but it's also a lesson learned for the kids that sometimes you have to admit you made a mistake and look out for number one, which is what he's doing by saying, I want to go back to Milan. But we're talking about this as if it's a done deal. There's an awful lot of shenanigans to go through yet before he becomes a permanent Milan player.
Yes, but what about all those sort of legal wranglings that'll have to take place? Is the Galaxy getting paid by AC Milan for them using Beckham, and might it be worthwhile for the Galaxy just to let him go?
No, Beckham gets paid here a salary by Milan. The Galaxy won't get anything unless he moves permanently, and there's a fee of around $14 million, which is absolutely astronomical for a player 33 going on 34. So there will be compensated that way. Of course, the question is, will $14 million cover it? Because although he hasn't been a big success on the field, largely because of the players around him, the Galaxy didn't even make the playoffs in the last season. He's been fantastic on the merchandising front. So if you go to LA, as I did to see him play last year, all the kids are wearing number 23, which was his number at the Galaxy. So, of course, there will be issues there. Will $14 million cover it? Probably not.
What about these aspirations for playing for England in the World Cup in 2010? I mean, has he still got the ability, even though he's had a great time of late with AC Milan, can he keep it going? Because he was on the downslide before.
It's a tall order, but the fact of the matter is there is nobody in the game, I'd wager, who crosses the ball as well as he does, who's as good from a dead ball situation. Fabio Capello is very much, who's the manager of England now, is very much horses for courses, and David fulfills a role, as does Emil Heskey, another player with the England team, who's not rated very highly by many people, but he does a job for England. Until somebody else comes along who's better at that job than David is, I think he's got a shot. You've got to admire his determination. He's been down and out as far as England are concerned on more than one occasion. He keeps coming back. He's got a real passion to play for England, and you know, who knows, I think he could make it in 2010.
All right, I guess one lesson could be he's patriotic.
Absolutely,
that
he is.
That is a good way to be a role model.
Indeed.
All right, Terry, well, thank you very much. I guess the saga continues.
It does, and I'll keep following it.
All right, thank you.